What's up, SFL? It's the Midnight Ride coming to you for week 2 action. Yes, I am here and Guy is not. I mean, there's only 35 other weeks to go on vacation. This is fantasy football week 2, and you're not here, so I'm going to have to do your job this week. So I'm going to go through not only my matchup, but a couple of other things from around the league. And let's start, I guess, with my matchup last week. I was very confident. Gary had an amazing week with his team, and I think his team is a lot better than we all thought as far as drafting. It didn't help that I lost Ryan Fitzpatrick early, and at that great trade for Mike Gesicki, that really panned out with a big goose egg. But let's look at last week, and let's move on to this week as I play Chalupa Batman. Okay, last week, Russell Wilson had a good game. Him and Lockett found each other 2 touchdowns, so I'm really happy with my stack. Edmonds had a good game. Sanders had a decent game. And then, of course, Henry, my highest money in the draft. He had a poor game, but he's going to bounce back this week. I'm looking into maybe finding somebody to help him out in the running game to get my bench a little deeper. Suckup had a good game, but obviously if you look at the big problem I had, of course, Fitzpatrick, that got hurt in the first quarter, negative 0.25, Gesicki with the goose egg. And if you have negative 0.25 from 2 players, you're not going to win. And Gary had a good week. Austin Eckler scored early for him and then kind of trailed off. Tua got a rushing touchdown, and then Carr broke out at the end of the game in overtime. So overall, he had a pretty good week. Especially with the beautiful trade, Audie, with Gronk. But Tyreek had a monster game, and that's what kind of just sealed it for me. But Gary had a great week, and if you look at the benches, there wasn't going to be much difference because in my bench, yes, I could have had Tyrod Taylor. I could have started Everett, but I still would be about, 8-9 points short of his team, and he could have started Swift. He could have started Williams. He could have started Melvin Gordon and just trounced me. So overall, I shouldn't have won this week. I didn't win this week. So good thing for Gary. It's a little sad, but I'm going to move on and hopefully, make an impact this week in the division. But speaking about last week, around the league, we have Gabriels. They beat Chalupa Batman, who I play. Queen of Thorns beat my Atlanta, my Balzac Hurts. Holden got a win against the Commish as Elderly Gangbang knocked out Magic Skull Bus. Spreading Diseases took out King McGee. King had a awful week this week. And then, of course, finally, with a tying of the highest points, Deontay Johnson took out Ligaments of Steel. So, a pretty average week. I mean, really, there was only one game that was really close, and it really wasn't like a great game. A lot of injuries, a lot of weird things happening, and that probably made people go a little crazy in the transactions. If you look at our transaction, we had Sammy Watkins go for $10 by King McGee, Tim Patrick by Deontay Johnson, Nelson Aguilar. I was going for him, but I wasn't going to put that much money up, so good for you, Kamish. Then A.J. Dillon for $15. I don't know about that one, but okay. Dawson Knox, I actually had a waiver wire and took it away, but $20 for Dawson Knox. That's pretty high, but nice. Elijah Mitchell, $108. Atlanta, you were reaching a little bit. Hopefully, they don't go with Trey Sermon more, and Elijah Mitchell doesn't get the breakout game that you saw from him. But if he does, great pickup. Going forward with the other pickups, Juwan Johnson, he got picked up after his 2-touchdown game. Christian Kirk, I think it's a good pickup for Gary and his team. Andy Dalton, I picked him up for $1 because obviously no Fitzpatrick. And then, of course, KJ Hamler and then Adam Troutman by Dylan. That's a pretty good pickup. I have another tight end. I think he's actually going to have a much better game. And unfortunately, maybe not Juwan Johnson is going to be the guy at this upcoming week for the Saints. But there was a big trade between me and Dylan. I'm taking a risk. I understand that. I like to wheel and deal a little bit. We have, of course, Deontay Johnson. and Chase Edmonds going to Dylan. I'm taking Calvin Ridley, and then I'm picking up Damian Williams as my second person up. Hopefully Montgomery and him kind of share more time, and I get a good pickup and a good guy to be a good backup. But, I think that helped out Dylan because he was really low in depth at running back. It helps me because my running backs I feel very comfortable with, and, of course, now getting a premier receiver in Calvin Ridley. So I'm good. I'm happy about it. Hopefully Dylan is also happy about it. And he might have won this trade. I lost the last trade. I might have lost this one. But I actually like my deal here. Now, Chalupa Batman. Kim, I need to get in the win column. I need to avenge my loss from last year against you. And it's going to be an interesting week. Both of us have two teams that, could go either way. If you look at our two teams, I love that Russell Wilson is playing and your one of the best receivers is Metcalf, so they might go hand in hand, so that's nice. You did change somebody out, obviously, with Shepard starting tonight instead of Zach Ertz, which was a great decision by you, so great and props. So that score's a little bit different, and he's already had a couple points, so that's a great decision to move those two guys out. I am worried because my matchups aren't great. Tyrod Taylor against Cleveland. Obviously, he had a great game against a terrible Jacksonville, but Cleveland is another story. And then, of course, Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers against two pretty bad defenses, especially Detroit. Aaron Rodgers is going to get right. Aaron Jones is going to get right. And then your stack of Thielen and Cousins. Hopefully, Thielen doesn't have the 2 touchdowns that he had last week. But I don't like my matchups, but I do feel confident in my team. So I think that I'm going to win. It's going to be very close, and it's all going to matter on how well Rodgers does and how well Tyrod Taylor. I think that's going to be the two guys that I'm going to look at. If Tyrod doesn't have a good game and Rodgers, of course, has a really good game, I'm kind of screwed. But with my wide receivers, I got some good running backs. I'm hoping for a big week against Chalupa Batman. All right, SFL. It is week 2, and I'm playing against who?
Chalupa Batman!
Yeehaw! That's right, I'm playing against Chalupa Batman and Kim. It's getting close to the stroke of